Welcome to your Research Training Center training videos. Today, we are going to talk about the DD Form 2663, known as Foreign Currency Control Record. We will show you how to properly fill each column on this form. If you have any financial management training needs, hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell to get notified about all the amazing videos the RTC releases. Before we get started, here are several things you need to know about the DD Form 2663. The form is used to record foreign currency transactions. The 2663 is updated daily to keep a running balance of foreign currency. It is recommended to complete this form at the end of each business day when balancing the 2665. Addition and subtraction are the only math operations performed on this sheet. The next thing you need to know is what transactions are recorded on the DD Form 2663. Daily totals for accommodation exchanges and reverse accommodation exchanges on the 2664. Each vendor payment from the voucher control log. Every certificate of purchase or optional 1017-G when buying and depositing foreign currency at different exchange rates from and into the LDA. Lastly, if deployed as a disbursing agent, the 2663 will show current balances of foreign currency cash on hand by cashiers and other agents, and LDA's account. Let's see how the purchase of foreign currency transaction is entered on the 2663. If you'd like to follow along, pause the video and grab a form. On the date column, enter the applicable business day. On the transaction reference column, identify the type of transaction. On the exchange rate column, enter the foreign currency to US dollar exchange rate applicable to the transaction. For this video, we will use 4.18 as the exchange rate. Keep in mind, the exchange rate will change when new foreign currency is purchased. Move to column 5B, titled Purchases of Non-Government Sources. On the units block, enter the amount of foreign currency received and the US equivalent in the dollars block. Now, flip the page and set your eyes on column 11, titled Sub-Balance. On column 11A, enter the amount of foreign currency purchase that will end up as cash on hand and the equivalent in US dollars. On column 11B, type the foreign currency on the sub-balance LDA. Complete the entry by combining the total balance of column 11A and 11B on column 12. Now, let's see how the daily totals of accommodation exchanges is entered on the 2663. First, enter the applicable business day. Next, identify the transaction as an accommodation exchange. Next, type the exchange rate. Turn the page over to column 9 titled Deposit, Sales, and Transfer column. Enter the daily total of accommodation exchange found on the DD 2664 for the currency disbursed to the customer in units sub-column, and the US equivalent in the dollars sub-column. On block 10, enter the gain from performing accommodation exchanges. Next column to the right, we have sub-balance on hand and LDA. Subtract the accommodation exchange total from the previous balance of units on hand. Do the same for the US equivalent on hand. Do not forget to add the gain from the accommodation exchange to the dollars on hand column. The LDA sub-balance on column 11B remains the same. Finish the entry by combining the total balance of column 11A and 11B on column 12. This is how the daily totals of accommodation exchanges entered on the 2663. Let's take a look at the next entry, daily totals of reverse accommodation exchange. Type the business day, the transaction reference, and exchange rate. On column 5B, under Purchases of Non-Government Sources, key in the amount of foreign currency received from the customer, and the US equivalent in the dollars block. Flip the page over and enter the gain from performing reverse accommodation exchanges on block 10. Move over one column to the right and add the reverse accommodation totals from column 5B to the previous sub-balance on hand on column 11A. The previous LDA sub-balance on column 11B remains the same. Do not forget to add the gain in dollars from reverse accommodation exchange to the dollars on hand column. Finally, Add the total balance of column A and 11B on column 12. This is how the daily totals of reverse accommodation exchange is entered on the 2663. Let's look at the next entry. Vendor payments made with LDA checks and cash payments. Type the business day, transaction reference and exchange rate. These transactions are entered under disbursements on column 8. Enter the number of foreign currency units in the units column and the US equivalent in the dollars column. Vendor payments made with the LDA checks only affect the LDA subbalance on column 11B. On the other hand, cash payments affect the on-hand subbalance on column A. Complete these two entries by adding the total balance of column 11A and 11B on column 12. The LDA and on-hand balance should equal the amount on the DD 2665 for the foreign currency on the LDA on line 16 and cash on hand for foreign currency on line 18. For more information on this topic, check your qualified training packages on the Financial Information Collaboration space, our Red FICS centralized location for all financial management training resources.